Hello and good morning, everyone. Hope you all had a great week. Welcoming you to my movements weekend session here, winning the weekend. Now, today we'll be going over just a series of movements. Of course, as always, starting from the ground and working our ways up. Just a few guidelines or just parameters that we have. Let's go ahead and have ourselves a yoga mat or a mat of any sort, just to kind of protect our back from the ground or our joints, limbs, and bony structures. About 6 to 10 square feet of space is what I would ask for. We're keeping it as minimalist as possible. Minimalist. And I invite you to wear a pair of socks, not just for protection, but also a bit of a challenge, depending on what your surface is that you're on. Me, I have a hardwood floor here, so it tends to be a bit more slippery. But what it also does is allow my feet to slide along a certain surface and reground in different ways, where it doesn't get as tacky. Okay, so also let's make sure we have a clear surrounding. Go ahead and bring yourself a glass of water. We'll be taking water breaks throughout this 50-minute session here, and also a towel if you feel that's absolutely necessary. Just keep yourself safe, and that is pretty much where we're going. The movements that we'll be doing today will be martial arts based, also infused with a bit of Budokan flow as well. And we'll start from a bipedal position after we ground in from our Seiza position. And that's where we are here. So I'll stay in Seiza here. So basically got the tops of my feet to the mat and my heels towards my hips towards my heels, and grounding in, hands, palms up, and my chin slightly lowered. My spine is nice and tall and elongated. Now, just a quick description on who we are as Mind Movement. We facilitate series and pretty much movement-based styles where we're going to infuse mindfulness and mind-body connection into your lifestyle. So what do we mean by this? Through our movements, we actually can change our moods through our movements, and a lot of our moods, of course, them being thought dependent. So, and our thoughts being mood dependent. So, with that said, we're going to presence ourselves, that being pretty much the theme of the month. We're going to go through a series, and that series may continue a little bit longer than I had originally planned. But in the beginning, we want to just experience what presence means for us. And what better way to presence ourselves than through our breathing? So here, while we're in this Seiza position here, going to the simple but significant task, duty, function of breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, perhaps even closing our eyes. One of the concepts we touch on in Mind Body here, and it's one you can also visit on our website, www.myndmvmtmindmovement.com. So, one of our concepts is passive present thinking. Oftentimes, we feel as though we are present in our actions, but some of our actions and even our thoughts, which actually fuel our actions, are past based and even future based. So, past and future thinking. Where we want to be is in the present. And what more present function than our breathing? We get to take in what serves us through our inhalation And exhale, letting go of what no longer serves us. Again, a very simple but significant task. I shift myself. You can go ahead and do it for yourselves as well. Bring your feet to the base of your mat, leaving space for the entire length of your body as we transition. So for instance, perhaps we were a bit future-based, even coming into this class. Many things we can do with our weekends. Maybe we anticipated that it would be harder than we have the capacity to deal with. Or even thinking in the past, we come in with maybe a bit of soreness, achiness, fatigue from the week. We always have this mechanism here we call breathing to just reground ourselves in the present moment into pure emptiness. That's why I choose to close my eyes, just empty my head of thoughts. And like any moment, there can be a disturbance, being internal or external. Those thoughts, perhaps from the past, or even about the future, seeping in between the ears, or even literally in between the ears, at the thump next door, perhaps a hum of a fan or a car passing by. We take in those disturbances and see them for what they are and let them go and return to breathing. Feel any discomfort at all in the position that we're in, go ahead and feel free to bring your hands to the ground and walk yourselves forward, bringing the hips off of the heels, just letting the feet breathe a bit. Come here to a tabletop position. And then we'll go back in to see where we can ground in, testing our discomforts just a bit. Just a few more breaths. Here we can open the eyes and take in our surroundings with our eyes, with our vision. Let's begin to walk the hands along the ground again. Let's come back to that tabletop position if you haven't stayed there already. Walking my hands just beneath my shoulders. I'm pressing the tops of my feet into the ground as best I can. Keeping my hands beneath my shoulders and my hips above my knees. Feet width and hips width apart. My hands within shoulders width apart. I really ground in. All four corners of my hands met to the ground. Let's go ahead and do a circle motion. Drawing a circle with my nose imaginarily on the ground just ahead of and in between both of my hands. You can choose any direction, circle clockwise, circle counterclockwise. Not allowing my hips to drop back too much. Keep my arms as straight as I can. Keep my fingers evenly pressed along the ground and evenly splayed apart. I begin to give myself a bit of a wrist stretch. Again, going only as far Just my joints can take it, just warming up a bit. And let's go ahead and switch directions, circling the opposite direction. And again, all the while, I'm keeping the tops of my feet pressed as best I can into the ground. And from here, let's go to a neutral position. Again, my hands beneath my shoulders, knees beneath my hips. Let's go into our cat-cow. Begin to expand the rib cage, two different directions. My cat-cow, cow, and my cat. Contracting the core, pressing my back up towards the sky for my cat. Belly down, head up. Inhale for my cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And again, as the mind can sometimes just wander with us doing even the simplest of tasks, so make sure we hone in on breathing as per each particular movement. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And time. I'm going to sit my hips back towards my heels, leave my hands on the ground, and bring the knees evenly splayed apart, even wider than hips width apart. And using the heel of my palms, press the hips back as best I can and keep those hips on the heels, hip bones on the heels best we can, and walk the fingers forward so the chest drops in between the legs. I begin to elongate the spine. Inhale, exhale. Try to relax the head into the movement, into the breath. Just visualize your breath as movement. It delivers oxygen to your body and moves the body from within. Okay, now let's go ahead and again walk the knees together. So in, bring the knees within. Here, when I'm bringing myself back to that tabletop position. Bring the hands beneath the shoulders, hips above my knees. And here, I'm going to go into the balls of my feet. So flexing my toes. Here, I'm going to stay in this position here with my knees, maybe just about a couple of inches off the ground, depending on my body placement, perhaps even how big my foot is. I'm really trying to keep all 5 toes evenly met to the ground. My shins are about parallel to the ground as well. Okay, just sitting here, giving the toes a bit of a stretch, the calves, breathing. Keeping that back as even as I possibly can. My vision down between my hands. And from here, time. Lower the knees down to the ground. And let's again bring the hips back towards the heels. I walk my hands to my lap, my toes still flex, bringing my sit bones back towards my heels. Here with the feet still flex, toes still flex on the balls of my feet best I can. Keeping those legs still, hips width apart. Breathing into stretching the toes. Nice. Now, from here, I'm going to go ahead and take the pressure off of the toes and walk my hands forward here into a plank position. So I'll walk my hands forward as I can, hands just beneath my shoulders. I'm going to walk my feet back. 1, 2, into a plank position. Keep my back as straight as I can. Again, most important part is keeping my wrists just beneath my shoulders, the safety of my shoulders and my wrists. Keeping good posture. Arms are straight, back is straight. Let's go ahead and push back for a down dog. So my gaze comes down towards my feet. I'm going to let my heels come down towards the ground, give a slight bend in both knees, head in between the arms, which is straight and in line with the spine. Let's work the heel up and down, stretching the calves, the Achilles, back of the ankle. And time. Let's go ahead and bring those knees back down towards the ground. And let's go ahead and walk the hands back in a seated position. Balls of the feet met to the ground. Hand in hand in my lap. Posture is nice and upright. As we feel, of course, any discomfort again, we can come out and come to that tabletop position. Here, just stretching the toes a bit, opening the base of the foot, testing our discomforts. But of course, recognizing discomfort from pain. If there's any pain, feel free to come out into that tabletop position. Okay, now from here, I'm going to go back to the tops of my feet. 1, 2, ground back into that seiza position. Let's go ahead and walk the hands forward. Forward into that tabletop again. Tops of the feet to the ground. Now, again, my hands beneath my shoulders, hips just above my knees. Let's bring the tops of the feet to the bottoms of the feet. Again. From here, I want to raise contralaterally my left hand and my right foot, and then my right hand and my left foot. I'm going to do it consciously while breathing. So I want to inhale, draw my breath in as I draw my limbs off of the ground. Left hand, right foot. And exhale, lowering them back down. We'll go the opposite side. Right hand, left foot. And lower down. Same time. And all the while, I want to try to keep as stationary and square in my spine, my shoulders and hips. And use a slow rate of speed to raise and lower my limbs. About 30 more seconds. Now, even with this mention of that number, 30 seconds, let's feel what we felt. Maybe there's an anticipation, perhaps a desire to stop. Giving no judgment to the amount of time, no expectations to the amount of repetitions. It's going for what it is that you can do in your best way possible. Inhale up, exhale down. Just a few more. As we can feel the temperature rising just a bit from within and throughout. And time. Lower the knees to the ground, tops of the feet to the ground. Let's go ahead and bring the hips back towards the heels, back to Seiza. And we can have our eyes closed this moment being your moment to visualize what being present means for you. In any disturbances, recognizing them for what they are, and just letting them go. Like my exhalation lets go of what no longer serves me. We can do the same with our minds. Okay, let's go ahead and draw ourselves back into that tabletop position. Time, tops of our feet back, press into the ground. And again, let's cat-cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Now choose your rate of speed. If for nothing else, to discover what each movement, what each breath for each movement uncovers for you. As my sense experience, your sense experience will be different from anyone else's. And thereby making it powerful for you. And time, back to neutral spine, bringing the hips back towards the heels. Let's walk the hands forward. And for here, let's go ahead and dive through from a low plank to an up dog. So from here, just lift my hips from my heels and dive through. Low plank, press the tops of the feet to the mat, but I bring my hips up as my shoulders come forward and then round back. My gaze is forward, head slightly tilted up, arms are straight. I'm just allowing gravity to work the stretch, letting my hips come down toward the ground, not forcing it, but breathing into it. Now, we're going to go push back, down dog again. Let's flip the feet, 1 and 2. Lower the heels, bend both knees. Let's again pedal out the feet, up, down, up, down. Nice. Now with our head in between our arms, straight in line with our backs. Let's dive through again. This time from that down dog through to up dog. Foot balls of the feet to the tops of the feet. 1 2. Let's soar back up for my up dog. Again, being present in my breathing, my posture. On my presencing through my breathing. And let's go ahead and inhale. Push back again. Down dog. Flip the tops of the feet to the balls of the feet. Slight bend in both knees. Nice. Now again, let's go ahead and dive through. This time to a modified up dog. So I'll dive through and stay on the balls of my feet. Getting really low. But again, staying on the balls of my feet. Feel free to adjust any position you need to. My hands are somewhat out of line with my shoulders. Let's certainly fix that first. The shoulders are a bit, are not as strong as, of course, my hips. We're not used to putting standing postures on them. Being the bipedal selves that we are, must protect those wrists, protect the shoulders. Hips down, shoulders back. Let's give ourselves a bit of a twist here. I'm going to turn to my left. My left inner foot to the ground, my right outer foot to the ground. Best I can, keep my arm straight. Just let those hips sink down towards the ground. The outer right hip, getting a nice stretch. Small pulse. Just testing the range of my hips. From here, we switch. Rotate on the ball of my foot. So I go from the big toe to the little toe on one, and from the little toe to the big toe on the other. Inner right foot to the ground, outer left foot to the ground. Okay, making sure I keep those wrists beneath the shoulders. A small pulse, hip up and down. Let's go ahead and return back to that plank position and push back for down dog. This time I bend both knees. Gaze is now forward. I'm going to use a bit of explosiveness. Channel through my thighs, through my glutes, the most powerful parts of my body and my legs. Use the ground to hop into a floating frog. So here, bend my legs, engage my thighs and glutes. I'm going to hop my feet to just outside both my hands. 1, 2, and 3. Press the palms together. Let's bring those elbows, shoulders even in between thighs best we can. As I press my palms together, my posture is upright. Again, back to my breath. 3 more good breaths. Even though I'm in a compact and compressed position, I'm still allowing my lungs to open, my rib cage to open to allow capacity to breathe in fresh air. 2 more breaths. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. My butt's low. Spine is tall. Last breath. Nice. And from here, I'm going to turn your way. Okay, you can face the same direction in which you were. Perfectly fine. I'm going to bring my hands in between still, but now I'm going to walk my feet apart. And as I do so, I'm going to bring my hips up to around the same level as my knees. Keep my elbows inside my inner thigh. Posture's upright, best I can. Shifting weight left to right. Here, seeing what sensation arises for me. I can keep my heels down, stretching the Achilles, or I can raise my heel, right? Testing the range side to side that I can go. 2 options for more of a challenge, or perhaps even for those with less range, right? Less range of motion, putting no judgment on the movement itself, just keeping ourselves safe and building ourselves from the ground up. Now I'm going to bring myself to my right side, right heel off the ground towards my sit bone. My left leg is straight. As we straighten this leg, just keep the thigh engaged, not totally strong and flexed, right? But just engaged enough so that my knee doesn't hyperextend down towards the ground, but keep my foot in a flexed position. Posture upright and ground in with the hands. Even open that outer right hip, or even the inner right hip for a bit of a stretch. From here, we switch. Again, flexing the foot on the straight leg, raising the heel to the sit bone on the opposite leg. And switching again. Foot still flexed, inner foot to the ground. I'm going to internally rotate, meaning I'm going to bring my knee and toes facing towards me, but all the while try and keep my posture as upright as possible. Try not to lean out. Again, test the range of the outer hip as well this time. And we switch. Walking the hands from right to left. Start my foot in the flex position. Then internally rotate, knee, toes facing towards the front of me. Let the hands leave the ground. Test my balance, testing my base. Nice. Now from here, we're going to go into a lunge. Lunge, 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 facing towards the right. Both my arms in between my legs. Head is up and my hips are down. Keep my back leg as straight as I can. I'm not really bringing my knee down towards the ground, but the subtle intention here is through my hip, going down towards the ground as my shoulders go up. Head goes up. Nice. From here, we switch. Walking the hands to the left side. I rotate my feet. Still making sure there's lateral space in between the feet, meaning my feet aren't going to be in line as though I'm on a skateboard. Feet are still hips width apart. My hips are neutral, so leave the feet as wide as the hips are. Head is up and hips down. Okay, here, walking ourselves to center. We're going to heel toe, our feet back together. Heel, toe, meaning I rotated the toe, then the heel, rotate, toe, heel. Let's come to a standing position, but first, let's ragdoll here. Let the head and arms hang really heavy. Perhaps even swaying side to side. Keep a slight bend in the knees, soften the knees up. Bring a little bit of your weight towards your front foot and the balls of your feet. You're going to rise up first in the base of the spine. Keep the head and arms really heavy. You rotate in the hips first. Then my spinal column stacks, one vertebrae at a time, starting from the bottom. And from there, bring those arms up and back, hips forward. Back to an upright position. Let's sweep the arms out to the side. And time. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves a sip of water. We'll come back in about 30 seconds. Keeping our yoga mat in the same position. Now here again, distinguishing our moves from the ground up, and of course, from standing back to the ground. So from here, I'm going to just stay out of picture just a bit while I'm standing, just so we can see more of the ground and how my foot is placed and met to the ground. So my hands are to my head, my arms are to my body. Let's go ahead and do just as Jovi did earlier this week as well. So I'm going to go down into my beginning of my standing base. Okay, so I go down, keeping my hands to my head, arms to my body. I'm going to bring my right hand to the ground. When I bring my right hand to the ground, I'm going to bring my right foot off of the ground. So here I'm in a 2-point base just for this moment of time. Okay, now I'm going to bring my right foot and point it out towards my left side. And here I pivot either in my heel or in the ball of my foot. Okay, I like to be ideally like to be in the ball of my foot. It's a more effective way to pivot with more balance. So here I raise my heel off of the ground and I pivot. My toes are facing the direction in which I'm kicking. Okay, on my kicking leg, my toe and heel are facing east and west, like so. From here, I'm not even going to place my hips down towards the ground. I want to come right back. And after I retract my leg, I extend my arm, come back to the same position that I once started. Back to standing. Down, left hand. Up, left foot. I pivot in my base leg, which is my right. And kick through, left to my right. I want to keep my vision in the direction in which I'm extended. Inhale as I draw my leg in and draw my hand out. Once I come to that standing, my base position, I'll bring my hands back to my head. Exhale. Inhale, lowering down. Base, exhale, kick. Inhale. If you haven't joined in just yet, give it a try. Let's do so right now as we can. Here, I'm bringing my feet just a bit wider than hips width apart. So I want to keep my posture as upright as I can. So I lower down, leaning slightly forward, engage my thighs and my glutes. Lower the hand down, kick through with the foot. Hips don't touch the ground. And I come back up with control. Inhale. Looking in the direction in which I'm extending still. And hands back to the head, arms back to the body. Again, present myself with that movement. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lower. Exhale. Kick through. Inhale, retract. Now let's go ahead and pick up the pace just a bit. As we not only are being very present and intentional, coordinating our breathing with our movements, also engaging the entire body, both arms and legs, as well as what connects them, the core. And the medium that drives the force is the ground. Also being mindful, keeping the shoulder, as here we're based on just one arm here and one foot. I want to make sure that my shoulder's just above my wrists. Just about 30 more seconds. Now again, with that number said, being mindful of what our thought patterns are with it. Did we lose power? Maybe that we had that finite amount of time to just push through, or we rise up to the occasion with power and presence. All the while keeping the coordination of the breathing and the movement. Keeping our balance, keeping our safety, and time. Here, we're going to go ahead and kick through and sit down. Here, just bringing my hand just beneath my shoulder, my hip to the ground. I'm going to come to a supine position. So here, I'm going to come down to my elbow and then straighten my leg and down to my back I come, chin to chest, lowering down, both hands grounded in. Now we're going to go into our plow position. So bringing my feet together, legs together. I like to demi-point my foot. So when I demi-point my foot or point my foot, my legs are entirely engaged. Keeping my legs straight, pressing my hands into the ground. I inhale, rise the legs. So my demi-point or my half point is where I bring my feet in full point position, that ballerina foot. And then here I slowly, no pun intended, flex the toes back towards my knees. And exhale, my legs lower. And then using my hands, especially now, to really ground in and lower my back safely down towards the ground. Keeping the legs together, feet together, inhale up. Exhale, lower. As we lower, we're still keeping those legs as straight as we can, but no pressure on the neck. Just keep it on the fleshy part of the back. Inhale, lower the back butt, rising the legs. And exhale, lowering the legs. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. We feel that we can't get to that position where we get our legs parallel to the ground without putting any pressure on our necks. Just go ahead and focus on being a bit more engaged in your lower back and your hamstrings with the legs straight. Maybe I just leave them here, putting no pressure on the neck. And then that lower back down. Inhale. Lower my back down. Inhale. Lower the legs down. Exhale. And inhale up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. And that is time. Now, from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring myself close to that plow position. I'm going to focus more so on keeping my chin towards my chest. Okay, so here, I'm going to leave my legs just in a bit of a comfortable position and let my knees float closer to my ears. I'm just going to open the legs, bring the feet apart. And then from here, I'm going to bring my left foot behind my right knee as I roll through to my combat base. Now, you can do this two different ways for different levels here. If I feel a bit more comfortable, I can roll all the way up into my combat base. Or from here, I can go onto my elbow first, then base onto my hand, kick through. Not kicking through here, I'm going to go ahead and push myself off of the ground into what we call here our combat base. Right? And then from here, if I need to come back down with that same ease, same preparation, my hands to the ground, hips, elbow, and then again, straighten the legs. Just come back, bringing my knees towards my ears, and we do the same on the opposite side. Okay, now for a bit more of a challenge here, I'm gonna go as slow as I can, foot behind the knee. Here, I bring both hands off the ground as I rise up. And rising up, using my core, my hips. Each time I push back down, of course, I'm gonna go the same way that I went up, okay? If I can't, I'll go ahead and base on the same side that I have my knee down, same side arm, down. But if I feel I have good control in my core, I'm gonna roll over that same foot and then sit down, not on my sacrum, but on my sit bone. Oh, sorry, not my sit bone, but my glute. Here. Now this right here, right? The glute again, being probably the most powerful muscle in the body, can absorb impact as well. So I'm not as concerned with hitting the ground with a bit of impact on my glute as I am with my small of my back, okay, right in between my glutes. Okay, so of course it depends on our anatomies individually. Okay, so from here, I go down. Okay, I can go elbow and work myself down step by step to that supine grounded position. Or from here, I just keep my hands to my head, straighten my legs, center out. And then I press my hands into the ground, up. Here, just a slight bend in my legs. Or if you feel free, you can go ahead into that plow position, just making sure that you don't have any pressure on the neck. Okay, so with those placed in mind, again, I'm going opposite foot behind opposite knee. Come all the way forward. Give a nice stretch again to the Achilles, the back of the ankle on one side, and then the top of my foot the other. Opposite side. Down on my glute. Or again, I can come down, hand, hip, elbow, then down. I can come back up the same way. One foot behind one knee, elbow, hand. I use that hand to push me forward into that combat base. Okay, we'll just do a few more. Again, coordinating my breathing with each movement. We'll do here. Let's give ourselves, as we come back down to the ground, a bit of a slap with our last hand or both hands if we're going a bit extra, going through the combat base as proper. So here, hands, hip, elbow, and the other side. Small slap on the ground here, providing the impact that I would use to displace it from other parts of my body, perhaps my back, my head, still keeping my chin to my chest, protecting my head. And hip, elbow, back to plow. Opposite side, and both hands up as I roll through. Really engage in the core. Both hands. Use a bit of momentum if you need. So you're using mainly the core to rise up. And time. Here we're going to come into standing base, elbow, hand, keeping one hand to my head for the protection. Base on opposite hand, opposite foot. So raise up and kick through. And here, go ahead and meet in seiza positions. Grab a quick sip of water. We're in our seiza position. Again, we're tall in our spine. Hips met to our heels. Again, with authenticity. Authenticity. Seeing our presence through our breathing. No judgment. Just anytime allowing ourselves when we find ourselves caught up, perhaps stagnated, in past and future thinking, find ourselves moving our mind and body through breath. Inhaling, take in that which serves us, and exhaling that which no longer serves us. Continue throughout the weekend, into the week, and throughout. Breathing power into presence through our bodies, our mind, and spirit. Thank you again for joining us to win the weekend. I hope to see you again to win the day on Wednesday, next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Wish you to enjoy your weekend and be present with power through breath. Thank you for mind movements. Have a great weekend.